Good morning. Today we're going to have a look at bearings, compass and true bearings. So a bearing is a direction of one object is from another object or an observer or a fixed point. There are two types of bearings. One's called compass bearings and one's called true bearings. So our compass bearings are the ones that we're used to traditionally calling north, east, south and west. And the north-south line is vertical, the east-west line is horizontal, and in between we've got northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. Now it's worthwhile remembering what Australia looks like, or at least what I do. You know where Western Australia is, you know that Sydney's on the eastern seaboard, you know where the Northern Territory is, and you know where South Australia is. So that should help you remember the directions of the compass. Okay, so a direction is given using a compass bearing by stating the angle either side of north or south. So for example, a compass bearing of south 50 west is found by measuring an angle of 50 degrees from the south direction towards the west side. So we always start on our north-south axis and then say how far we are going away from those. So let's have a look at these ones, finding the compass bearing. Find the compass bearing of A from O. So here's O here. So what we're looking for is that is predominantly north. It is up, so up is north, and then we can see that it is in the east direction. So the first thing we're going to write down here is we're going to write down north, and then we're going to have a look at how far it is, and that's 30 degrees away from north, and it's in the direction of east. Now the next question is asking us B from 0. So B is heading south in the first instance. So we're going to write down south, and then we can see that it is east of south. So what we need to do here is it hasn't given us this angle here, so we'll need to calculate it. Now I can see already that what it is giving me is giving me 120 degrees around to there. I know that there's 180 degrees in a straight line, so my angle is 180 degrees minus 120 degrees equals 60 degrees. So this angle in here is 60 degrees, and so it is south 60 degrees east. We go towards east 60 degrees starting from south. Okay, let's have a look at our next thing. True bearings are different. A true bearing is the angle measured clockwise from north around to the required direction. It's given the letter T after the degree or minutes or seconds symbol. Now often in other textbooks it may not put the T. If there's no T there but it just gives you the angle as a degree, then that is also true bearings by default. So true bearings are sometimes called free figure bearings because they're written using free numbers or degrees. For example, 120 degrees T is the direction measured. 120 degrees clockwise from north is the same bearing as south 60 degrees east, which was this last one we did up here. We saw that it was actually 120 degrees around that way, and we worked out it was south 60 degrees east. Okay, the smallest true bearing is 0, which is north, and the largest true bearing is 360, which is also north. So as we hopefully have been accustomed with our circles, the origin or the start and the finish, 0 to 360, we can say the same thing from 12 o'clock in the morning up until the end. It is a circle. The 8 directions of the compass of the following true bearings. So north is 0, east is 90, south is 180, west is 270, and then in between them, north-east is halfway between north and east is 45, south-east is halfway between east and south, I'm going to say, is 135 degrees, south-west is halfway between south and west at 225, and northwest is halfway between west and north at 315 T. So the bearing and the following diagrams are given using both methods, so they've shown them there, Here's our 10 degree in there, so that one there would be south in the first instance, and then it's 10 degrees towards east. And if we come around the other way, then what we can see is that is 170 degrees. So it's simply 170 degrees T, 170 degrees from north. Having a look at our other scenario, we can see that north, it is 30 degrees in there, west of north. So we start with north, and then it's 30 degrees west. A true bearing, we need to go all the way around from north, all the way around there, and we can see that is 330 degrees, which I'm sure that you all realise if they just given us that 30, then it would have been 360 minus 30 equals 330 degrees. Or if they've given us 330, we would, and we needed to know what the angle was up here, we could have subtracted the 330 from 360. Okay, so compass bearing in the highlight. A compass bearing is a direction given by stating the angle either side of north as south, such as south and then 60 degrees east, 60 degrees away from south towards east. A true bearing is a direction given by measuring the angle clockwise from north to the required direction, such as 120t. Okay, so let's have a look at here. The example, find the true bearing of C from O. So here's our O here. Now what we've got there is it's already given us those degrees. That would have been 90. Here would have been 180. All the way around to 210. So it is simply C from O here is simply 210 degrees. And we'll put our T in there. Now our next one is asking me D from O. So D is here. Again, I can do this two ways. One way is I can just keep adding them up. So I know it's 90, 180, 270. And we can even put them on them if we want. There are our degrees as we go. So 270 and another 60 is 270 plus 60 equals 330 degrees T. Or I guess what we could have done is we could have recognised that this little sliver in here is 30 degrees, and we could have subtracted that from 360. Okay, so let's have a look at our, yep, we've done that. Let's have a look at our next question. Writing compass bearings and true bearings. Write the bearing of A from O in the following diagrams as a compass bearing. Alright, so our compass bearing, let's just stick in there in the first place our east-west, west-east, and I might as well. Okay, so let's have a look. So we've got, in the first instance, it is south. We're predominantly south. So we've got south, and then it's 52 degrees away from south, 52 degrees, and it is headed towards west. Okay, so there's a true bearing, so that was 1. If we're looking at it as a true bearing, then what we might do here is we might write 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and then we recognise that it is 180 plus 52. If you put that in your calculator, 180 plus 52, you will get that equal to 232 degrees, and we'll put our T in there as well. Looking at the next one, we want to know as a compass bearing. Okay, so let's finish off our compass. So what we've got is one of compass bearing. So in the first instance, it's predominantly south, so I can write that down, south. Now what I need is the degrees away from south. So I actually need this degrees in here. Now again, I can do this numerous ways. The easiest way, I think, is for us to recognise that we have 90 degrees in here. 90 degrees. We've already got 37 there, so it's going to be in there. It's going to be 90 minus 37. So if you put 90 minus 37 in your calculator, you will end up with 53 degrees. So it's going to be 53 degrees away from south in the east direction. Okay, so our next one we're looking at as a true bearing. Well, we've got most of what we need there. All we need to do is add in that extra 90 degrees. Again, we could write 90 degrees against east. So 90 degrees plus 37 degrees is 127 degrees T. Okay, having a look at our next one. Here, again, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our compass bearings look like they should by finishing them off. And I'm going to also put, I guess really if it was free figure, I should be putting 0.90 there. I might go back and just change those over as well. Okay, so what we're looking for is we're looking for this in the first instance as a compass bearing. So as a compass bearing, it's not too difficult at all because we can see that in the first place it's heading north and it tells us how far west it is. So it is north and then it's just 71 degrees away from north in the west direction. With our second one, we've got two ways of doing that. Either we work out what it is all the way around, which is relatively complicated, or we just recognize that all the way around to north again is 360 degrees. So we make this 0 and 360t. Then what we can do is we can simply subtract what we've got, which is 71. So 360 minus 71, which is left in that sliver, is going to give me 289 degrees T. Okay, let's have a look at, I think, is it my last one? It is the last example on here. Finding the true bearing in the opposite direction. If the bearing of A from O is 110 degrees, what is the bearing of O from A? So a critical thing we need to do here is we need to give ourselves, you will find we'll need to give ourselves two sets of axes. We're going to give us our first one, north, south, east, and west. And that's going to be our O. Now we need 110 degrees. So remember, this is 0, 90, this is 180. So another 20 degrees from there. Let's call it out there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my point A is going to be out here. I'm going to draw it out far enough so that things don't get in my way. I'm going to put another compass point on A because now what we need to do is we need to go back the other way. Now, it's a true bearing, so I've done the wrong thing anyway. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to label them. I've got my degrees on them. So I'm going to label them both. So they're my degrees true as well. And that's 0, 0, 0 degrees true. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. It's going to be 0 degrees true. It's going to be 0, 90 degrees true. 180 degrees true. And 270 degrees true. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to do some geometry. So we had 90 to there. We've got 20 degrees in there. So that was 110 degrees minus 90 degrees, which is in our first quadrant is 20 degrees. Okay, so now what I need to realize, I need to realize that what I've got here is I've got, once again, like my, what I'm doing with angles of elevation and depression, here is one horizontal line, here is another horizontal line, and this angle bearing that I've just thrown in there is my transversal. Through here is a transversal, which means that with my degrees, this one down here, let me just write it in, is a alternate angle. So it is, excuse me while I try and battle with, what am I going to do? Battle with this. If I can, in there anyway is 20 degrees. No, I'm not going to, I just got to pause for a minute. Okay, I managed to get my 20 degrees in there. So what I'm after now is I'm after the angle from, let me find a green pen. I'm after the angle of O up here from A. So you might say A is now my O, you might say. So from A is what we're after. So from A, look at that angle, it's northwest, or the north, it's west of north, so to speak. So we can see it's in this quadrant here. It's in the fourth quadrant. And so what we're going to do there is we've got 200 again. We've got 270 up until west. So our angle is 270 degrees plus 20 equals 290 degrees true. So to do these ones, you always just need to draw a diagram. After you've drawn your diagram, make sure that you put a second set of compass bearings, if you like, or set of bearings on your point, and then just go back the other way and see what it looks like. Okay, send me an email if you've got any questions.